The story of the Garden of Eden. God made Adam and Eve a home, and what a beautiful home it was. God chose a place from which 4 rivers flowed, and there God planted a large garden. There were thousands of flowers in the garden. No park in the world today is half as beautiful as was the Garden of Eden. There, in the middle of the garden, God planted a wonderful tree called the Tree of Life. Whoever ate of the fruit of this tree would live forever. Adam and Eve were very happy. God had given them good things to enjoy, and they knew nothing about evil. They often talked with God and listened to His voice as He walked and talked with them in the cool of the evening. God wanted Adam and Eve to prove their love for Him, so He decided to plant in the beautiful garden another tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Then He told Adam and Eve, "Of the fruit of every other tree in this garden you may eat, but the fruit of this tree you must not taste. If you do, you shall surely die." Adam and Eve listened and agreed. Adam and Eve enjoyed their beautiful garden for a long time, but one day a strange thing happened. Eve heard a voice and saw a serpent. She was not afraid because she had never known fear. "Has God said that you must not eat the fruit of every tree in this garden?" the serpent asked. "We may eat of every tree except one," Eve replied. "God has told us that we must not eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or we will die." "Don't be silly. You will not die," the serpent told Eve. "God knows that if you eat the fruit from this tree, you will become wise to know good and evil, as He is wise. Therefore, He has forbidden you to eat of it." Until this time, Eve had not touched the forbidden tree. But now she looked at its fruit and thought that if it really would make her wise like God, she wanted to taste it. And so sin and temptation slowly crept into Eve's heart. Soon she yielded to the temptation and plucked the fruit, and then she gave some to Adam, and both of them ate it. Immediately, Adam and Eve knew what a dreadful thing sin is. They knew they had disobeyed God. Then they felt something they had never felt before. It was shame and fear. How afraid they were to meet God. They had never been afraid, but now they were hiding behind the beautiful trees in the garden, too afraid to face God. Soon a voice called, "Adam, where are you?" The frightened man answered, "Oh Lord, I heard your voice, but I am ashamed and afraid of you, so I hid myself." "Why should you be afraid of me?" God asked. "Have you eaten of the forbidden fruit?" Adam told God that Eve had given him some of the fruit, and he had eaten it. "What have you done?" God questioned Eve, and she told him what the serpent had said. "I listened to the tempter, and then ate of the fruit, and gave it to my husband," Eve confessed. God was grieved because Adam and Eve had failed to obey Him. They could no longer enjoy God's presence with them, and because sin had spoiled their lives, they were no longer fit to live in the beautiful Garden of Eden. So God sent them away, out into the world, to make a home for themselves. And God placed an angel at the gate of the garden to prevent them from ever coming back to eat of the fruit that grew on the wonderful tree of life. To Eve, God said, "Because you listened to the tempter's voice and disobeyed me, you shall have pain and sorrow in your life. Adam also received a sentence of punishment from God. Because you will no longer be able to eat from the garden's trees, you must work hard to keep these things growing, and you shall see how hard work is. Then you will grow old and feeble, and you will die, and your body will again become dust, as it was before I created you. All these sorrows came because of sin. But God loved them, so while He drove Adam and Eve out of the beautiful Garden of Eden, at the same time God gave them the promise that one day He would send a Savior to make all men free from sin and death. The end.